welcome back, everyone. This is Radio Free Market, and I'm your host, Michael McKay, and we're talking with Dr. Paul Prentice on the moral basis of capitalism. So, Paul, one of the things that came up earlier in our conversations between the breaks was this conversation of definitions, and I remember hearing you discuss on another show that you were on the term libertarian, and how do you actually define that particular term?
Well, the libertarian, to me, is simply an adult that takes responsibility for their life, and then understands that they have a moral obligation to treat other people with like respect, and then also a moral obligation to do what they can with how they can do it to help other people in certain situations and circumstances. So voluntary charity is part of being a libertarian. Respecting other people and their rights is part of being a libertarian, and being not independent of other people, but independent of government, independent of coercion, being a full adult responsible for your life, your family, and then extending that out as far as you wish to into the collective. But it's really about the fundamental principle that the individual is the sovereign. The individual is the ruler of their life. The individual is the uniquely created person who has then this free will, this Augustinian free will, and then makes moral choices based on that.
Yeah, I'm constantly asked, do I consider myself a libertarian? And I tell people that I don't even like the term libertarian. I much prefer the term adult with good manners. And if I'm going to be known as something, I prefer to be known as that as opposed to anything else. But I would like to go into that because I think that the definition of adult and the definition of good manners is also very important for us to talk about. An adult is someone who's willing to take care of themselves and able to take care of themselves. And as a second stage, maybe they're willing and able to take care of other people as well. But that's a choice that they have. And so that's what an adult is. An adult isn't just somebody who's over the age of 21, but somebody who can actually take care of themselves and chooses to do so. The good manners part is, I think, we take it for granted, but it really has to do with how much regard we're willing to give other people. There was a line, I think, in a movie that, and I can't recall the movie offhand, but it mentions the idea of the best guest is somebody who makes the host feel at home. In other words, there's a regard that we give to other people when we are extending good manners, having to do with observing their property, protect that they have rights to their body and their property and so on. So, Paul, what is your comment on that?
That's actually a wonderful and perhaps likely a brilliant definition, Michael. It's important that we define terms, and we started the conversation with that idea. And that really does define libertarianism in the way that I understand it. And that's against a lot of the common misunderstandings of libertarianism, where a lot of people think, well, that just means I want to take drugs, or that just means I want to engage in promiscuous sex. Well, I may or may not, but it's my choice, and I don't harm people if I'm not harming people. That's really one of the keys to this. And it really is about a fundamentally moral perspective based on the primacy of the individual, understanding your role in the greater society, in the greater culture, and your responsibilities, your rights and your responsibilities. It's not just about your rights to do things. It's about your responsibilities to your fellow man, your responsibilities to treat them with the equal respect with which you expect them to treat you.
Right. Well, I want to thank you, Paul Prentice, Dr. Paul Prentice, for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Michael.
And also, I would like to thank you, Christopher Opperman. Thank you for being with us today.
It was a privilege. Thank you.
Okay. So this is Michael McKay in Radio Free Market. Please visit us on the web at radiofreemarket.com, where you can download this and all of our shows for free. And until next week, folks, wherever you are, please stand up for freedom. Thank you for listening.